Max the Jack Russell Terrier loved his life. He lived with Katie in a big city. Their apartment was small, but it was home. Every morning, Katie would scratch Max's ears. He loved that. She would always leave food and water. Then she would head out for work. Max would wait by the door. He would watch the clock. As soon as he heard Katie's key in the door, his tail would wag. Katie was the best owner ever. They would play fetch in the park. She would always give him treats. Max couldn't imagine life without her. One day, everything changed. Katie came home with a surprise. It wasn't a new toy or a yummy bone. It was a dog, a big, fluffy, slobbery dog named Duke. Max didn't like Duke one bit. While Max waited for Katie, he talked to his friends. There was Chloe, the tabby cat. She was cool and loved to nap. Mel, the pug, was always hungry. He loved treats, just like Max. Buddy, the dachshund, was long and lanky. He was always sniffing out trouble. And then, there was Sweet Pea, the budgerigar. He lived in a cage, but he loved to sing. They were the apartment crew, and they looked out for each other. They shared stories about their owners and their adventures. Max told his friends about Duke. They all agreed that Katie should have brought home more treats instead. Duke was big and clumsy. He took up too much space. Max knew he had to get rid of Duke, but how? Duke was a big, fluffy Newfoundland. He was twice the size of Max. He smelled funny, and he wanted to play all the time. Max tried to ignore him. He tried to show Duke who was boss, but Duke didn't seem to notice. One day, Katie left Max and Duke alone. They started to fight over a toy. Max was angry. He wanted Duke gone. In the heat of the moment, Max did something very naughty. He tricked Duke into leaving the apartment. They ran out into the city streets. Max and Duke were lost. They didn't know how to get home. They wandered the streets scared and confused. Then, the worst happened. Animal control officers caught them. They were thrown into a truck with other stray animals. Inside the truck, they met a group of tough-looking animals. The leader was Snowball, a small white rabbit with a fluffy tail. Snowball had a gang of flushed pets. They were all animals who had been abandoned by their owners. They hated humans. To join Snowball's gang, Max and Duke had to pretend they hated humans too. Back at the apartment, Max's friends knew something was wrong. Gidget, a fluffy white Pomeranian who lived in a nearby building, was especially worried.
I just know Max would never run away on purpose.
She had a big crush on Max. Determined to find him, she gathered the other pets.
All right, let's do this. We've got to find Max.
Chloe, Mel, Buddy, and even Sweet Pea were ready to help. They set out into the city, following Max's scent.
Hey there, I hear you're looking for Max. I can help. I know all the city's secrets.
Along the way, they met Pops, an old basset hound who knew all the city's secrets.
But be careful, I've heard about the flushed pets. They're dangerous.
But Gidget was determined to find Max. She wouldn't let anything stop her.
Nothing's going to stop me. I'm coming, Max.
Meanwhile, Max and Duke were stuck with Snowball and his gang. They had to prove their loyalty. Snowball made them do dangerous things. Max was scared. He just wanted to go home. One night, Duke confessed his secret to Max. He told Max about his old owner. He loved his old owner very much. But his owner was a kind old man, and one day he got sick and couldn't take care of Duke anymore. That's how Duke ended up at the shelter. Max felt bad for Duke. He realized that Duke wasn't so bad after all. They were both just scared and lonely. They decided to work together to escape from Snowball and get back to Katie. Max and Duke saw their chance to escape. They made a run for it. Snowball and his gang chased after them. It was a wild chase through the city streets. They dodged cars and jumped over fences. Just when they thought they were caught, Gidget and the other pets arrived. They had followed Max's scent. They fought off Snowball and his gang. Gidget was small, but she was fierce. She even used her cuteness as a weapon. During the chaos, Duke found himself in trouble. He was about to fall from a great height. Max, remembering Duke's kindness and their newfound friendship, risked his own life to save him. With Snowball's gang defeated and Duke safe, it was time to go home. Pops led the way, his old nose sniffing out the familiar streets. Max was so happy to be going back to Katie. He had learned his lesson. He realized that home wasn't just an apartment. It was wherever Katie was. When they finally arrived at the apartment building, Katie was overjoyed. She had been worried sick. She hugged Max tightly. Max licked her face and wagged his tail so hard he thought it might fall off. Duke was happy too. He knew he had found a new home with Katie and Max. Everything was back to normal. Well, almost everything. Snowball, the leader of the flushed pets, was captured by animal control. But something wonderful happened. A kind little girl saw Snowball in the shelter. She thought he was cute, even though he was missing an eye. She convinced her parents to adopt him. Snowball was no longer a scary gang leader. He was a pampered pet. He had a loving owner and a warm bed. He even learned to like humans. As for Max and Duke, they were no longer enemies. They had been through a lot together. They had learned to appreciate each other. They were brothers now. They shared their toys, their food, and most importantly, their love for Katie. They knew that no matter what adventures life threw their way, they would face them together.